everybody! So this is video number 2. This video will be a little bit about who I am, about my life so far with my VHL journey and that kind of stuff. So let's get right in. So my name's Emery. I'm 28 years old. I am a wife to my husband Richard and a mother to our beautiful little boy Lucas. Things I like to do, I like to cook, I like to sew, I like to listen to music, I like to color, I love to binge watch TV. Kind of out of stuff to binge watch right now, so if anybody has any suggestions, shoot me them in the comments, please. I listen to podcasts. Yeah, that's stuff that I like to do, and I like this. Yeah, my big thing that I do right now is I take care of my little boy. You know, he's my whole world. I mean, right now I'm in recovery, so I can't do a whole lot with him, but I mean, he is all over the place. He's 3 and he is everywhere, and he's not just a normal 3-year-old, he's a 3-nager. He's got attitude for days, and my husband likes to say that that's all me, but I don't know, I think that's mostly him. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me and my life. So my VHL journey began a month after having my son. My son was born in 2017, and in October of 2017 I started getting this really insane sharp pain in my back. Like, it was like the worst pain I had ever felt. I'd never known what this pain was before, and it left me, I can't even say curled up on the floor, because curled up on the floor, laying down, sitting down hurt. I could only stand and stand against leaning something because the pain was so crippling. I went to the ER, and they told me, they gave me pain pills, and they just said, we don't know what it is. And I was like, okay, well, that wasn't the first time, or that was the first time, I mean, but it wasn't the last time. Later that month, I went again. They tested me for something called H. pylori, which is some kind of bacteria in your gut, I think. Came out negative for that. So then around Thanksgiving that same year, I went back to the ER, and when I went back to the ER, it was the same thing, that really awful, terrible pain. And this time they decided to do a scan, and they did a CT scan, and the doctor came in and she was like, you have some kind of growth on your pancreas, so it's probably causing you to have pancreatitis, which is probably where this pain is coming from. So, you know, you need to go see a GI specialist. So then off I was to go to my primary care provider. And for those of you that don't know how the medical system works, it sucks. I'm gonna say it sucks ass. Like, we need crucial changes. That's something I want to start looking into, is on how to advocate and change, because the way these things go, it's like there is red tape everywhere and stop signs everywhere for people that are really in need to go see the people they need to see. You have to do this and this and this and this and this, and then you have to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and all the while people are in pain, they don't know what's going on, and it's a huge big old mess. So anyways, so I went to my primary care provider, and they referred me to a GI specialist. I went and saw the GI specialist after a few months. I think, let's see, that was November. Back to November really quick. That doctor that doctor was the only good ER doctor I ever met at that hospital that I went to. It was the only good ER doctor. That was my local ER from where I live. It was the only one that was nice. And she wanted to send me but it was a holiday week and she wanted to send me to UCSF or another big major hospital, but because of the holiday weekend, they weren't taking patients. Comma, however, back to about, I think it was like January, now this is January of 2018, and I'm going off to see this GI specialist, and the GI specialist is like, oh, blah, 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 nice to meet you. Well, I really can't tell you what's going on until I see your scans. So then it was back home, wait for her to get my scans, set another appointment. She looked at my scans, went back to my appointment with her. She looked at my scans and she's like, oh yeah, you have something that looks like precancerous cysts, which is something you really don't want to hear when you have a 5-month-old baby after having a difficult pregnancy and you hear the word cancer. I know it's precancerous, but still that word cancer is in there. And so she's like, yeah, you have these cysts, so I'm gonna have to send you down to LA to go see another specialist out there. And then I ran into all these issues with insurance. I switched my insurance, and then that meant I couldn't go see that GI no more, and I had to start the process all over again. So I went, and there was just thing after thing after thing. On top of my health, I was also dealing with some health issues with my son. He was born premature. We had just a lot of complicated things going on with him. And on top of that, I was raising my sister. I have a sister who's 10 years younger than me. So at the time, she was like 16 and she has health issues. And so on top of that, I'm being a wife, a mother, a sister, and having health issues. So I did what a lot of people do. I pushed myself aside. I just let it go and let it go and let it go. So after countless ER visits, because I go for long periods of times where I feel okay and I'm just really tired or something. I wasn't getting this crazy pain, so I thought I was fine. Yeah, no. I mean, it was just ER visits is all I could do because my regular doctors couldn't do anything for me. So, fast forward to October 2018. The beginning of October, I went to my local ER again because I got the excruciating pain. They're like, well, you've been here so many times and there's nothing we can do besides dope you up, essentially. I was like, cool, no. So on October 25th, 2018, I had mild pain. I didn't have the crazy pain. I just had some mild, just really uncomfortable. I couldn't get comfortable pain. So I told my husband, you know what, let's go to the hospital where we had our son. That hospital is really good. They're partnered with UCSF. We've had nothing but great experiences with this hospital. So off we went. This hospital, the only thing is my husband couldn't come in with me because at night they go on lockdown and they can't let visitors in, and it's just a crazy thing. So I went into the hospital. They decided, I gave them all my symptoms, everything that's going on. By the time I got to the hospital, I was actually having the crazy pain. And they're like, okay, let's get you into scans. So they scanned, they did a CT scan, they did a lab draw, they did urinalysis, the whole thing, and which is way more than the other hospital had done at any time. You know, the one time they did a CT scan, and yeah, they do lab draws, but they weren't checking everything, it turns out. So when I'm in the back, I had been there, it's the next morning, and I finally meet with the team, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna admit you. Your gallbladder looks a little funny. We saw those pancreatic cysts, so, you know, we're gonna talk about surgery, maybe removing your gallbladder and that kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And so they admit me. I finally get up to my hospital room, and that was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Friday, I'm in the hospital, there's nothing I can do. Saturday comes around and they tell me I have a doctor come in, and they're like, so we did a full body, not full body, but they did a whole CT scan, and on the CT scan they also saw my kidneys and saw that there was growths, as they called them at the time, on my kidneys. And they're like, okay. And I very clearly remember this doctor going, you look like you have the signs of a rare genetic disorder called von Hippel-Lindau, VHL. Don't Google it. And I was like, seriously, you don't want me to Google this? Like, I'm gonna Google this. And they're like, don't Google. They're like, don't Google it. We need to biopsy what's on your kidneys. So we're gonna do the biopsy tomorrow, which is a Sunday. I said, okay. So that night I went for an ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech, he was like, well, what they said is that they need to ultrasound me before they biopsy me. And so I remember the ultrasound tech going and looking at her like, and he's like, oh, so we're doing an ultrasound of your kidneys, okay, so what's going on? And I was like, oh, I've got all this stuff, and they think I might have this genetic disorder, and they think it, they need to look at the growths on my kidneys. And I was like, I think they think it's cancer. And he's like, oh no, it's probably nothing. And I could tell once he starts doing the ultrasound, his demeanor kind of changes, and he's kind of just looking at like the screen, and he kind of sighs. And when anyways, so when we wrap up and everything and I'm back in the wheelchair, he tells me, well, good luck with everything. And I said, okay, thank you. And so that's when they're like, yeah, we think it might be cancer, so we're going to biopsy you. And I was like, okay. So Sunday they biopsy me. They said it'll take about 1 or 2 days for the pathology to come back. And I said, okay. And I was awake through the whole biopsy. I could feel them, I was awake, but I was numbed. So I could feel them like puncture, feel them moving around back there and taking the sample and all that stuff. Let's see. That was Sunday. Monday, I was like, oh, waiting. And I actually listened to the doctor and did not Google at first. I did not Google until I got my cancer diagnosis. Tuesday, they said, yes, you have cancer. It's stage 1. Thank God. It was stage 1. It hadn't spread. It was still encapsulated. But it's on both of my kidneys, and they need to make a plan on what to do. So, it was really hard to get that news, to be 26 and just had a kid a year ago, because by this time my son was a year old. Kind of still on the whole just starting my life out thing. Still to this day trying to figure out like what I wanted to do with my life, where I wanted to go. I was a mom and was working. Well, after having my son, I wasn't working, but my husband and I, we had a lot going on. And to get that bombshell on top of that, hey, you have cancer. And then also on top of that, you have all these issues going on with your pancreas. It was really hard. So that was October. It kind of changed a lot of stuff in our family. I don't know. It was just really hard, but it kind of focused our perspective and our drive. We became more family focused. So I did keep getting sick. That same year we went to Disneyland, and that was such a fun trip. I hadn't been to Disneyland. I'd only been to Disneyland once, and we went to Disneyland. And when I went to Disneyland last time before this, we've gone 3 times now. We went to Disneyland. Sorry. Last time I had gone, I was 11. And it was fun. It was a really fun trip. My godfather and my aunt took me, and it was a ton of fun, but I didn't really remember a lot of it. So then now I had a little boy, and I was like so excited to go. And so we went on a family trip to Disneyland. But the week before Disneyland, we went right after Christmas. We literally left the day after Christmas. But that whole week before, I was in the hospital. My gallbladder was giving me issues, which were tied to the whole pancreatic issue. My gallbladder was giving me issues, and so it was just a whole thing. So I was in the hospital. I think I got out on Christmas Eve is when I got out of the hospital. Got out on Christmas Eve. I looked a mess. My family was like, should we still go? And I was like, we're going to Disneyland. I got out so we could go. The only reason I got admitted was because my doctor at that time was like, well, let's admit you and let's see if that team, will take your gallbladder. And they didn't. I got my gallbladder removed after New Year's that January. That was like my easiest surgery I have ever had. The gallbladder surgery, like I got out fine. Just that one. And the ablations, which is a like radiated needle that they stuck into my right kidney to kill off the cancer on that side. So I had both of those done in January of 2019. Before that whole like November of 2018, after getting out of the hospital and stuff, I got hooked up with a amazing urologist named Dr. Miner. He's in Fresno, California. He's a great man, and I am very, very thankful that all my chips fell into place, because I met Dr. Miner, who was friends with Dr. Meng at UCSF, and he was like, I'm gonna personally call him and refer you to him, and he got me in. I met Dr. Meng, I believe in January of 2019, met Dr. Meng, and we did scans and tumor board and all of this stuff, and we set everything into place to have my kidney surgery. On my left kidney, I have had a partial nephrectomy. They took very clean, beautiful lines. They took out the 2 tumors. I had 2 tumors on that side. One of them, that was a fairly large tumor, over 3 centimeters, which, is fairly large to them. They took that one out, and that was in June of 2019. So I've had quite a bit of surgeries. I've had quite an adventure. I'm gonna leave it there, because the pancreatic surgery, I believe, is its own whole video. Part I did not touch on is after I got out of the hospital with my diagnosis and stuff, they set me up with an oncologist and a geneticist. That took a little while to get in, and it also took a little while for my test results to come back. But like I had said, I had officially gotten diagnosed with von Hippel-Lindau in February of 2019. I was officially diagnosed then. I have what they say is a deletion, and I found my paperwork, and I'm actually in it's like tier 2, and it's supposed to be like I said, what's most common in people with this kind of, in this section in stage 2 of VHL, tier 2 of VHL, is that we have the pancreatic cysts and the renal cancer. There's a ton of stuff that can happen to VHLers. Hemangioblastomas, which is like really big nerves and blood vessels that they get huge, and they can grow along your spinal cord and in your brain and in your ear canal and in your eyes, and there's a lot of stuff. It's a lot. Adrenal gland stuff and adrenal gland cancer, and it's just, there's a lot of stuff that can happen to us. So like I've said before, I want to bring awareness. So this is, like I said, video 2. This is the story of up until my kidney surgery in June of 2019. Basically that surgery, I was in the hospital 4 days at UCSF Mission Bay. My surgeon, like I said, Dr. Maxwell Meng, amazing surgeon. I recovered fairly quickly from that surgery. I mean, it was a little hard, but I did recover fairly quickly. But just like when I got my cancer diagnosis and my VHL diagnosis, going through these surgeries, I've had little shifts where certain things in my life have come into perspective for myself and things I want to do with my life and of that nature. But yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. I feel like this video was a little more on the heavier side, and I feel like the pancreatic one is probably gonna be just as heavy. But yeah, so thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for my next video about my whole pancreatic surgery. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.